Ulcerative colitis fatigue. Today we're talking about it, what it feels like and what we can do about it. My name's Jacob and I've been living with ulcerative colitis for over 10 years. And over that time, I've experienced many bouts of extreme fatigue. So how can we solve this fatigue? How can we do things while suffering with fatigue? And let's talk about it today. So what does it feel like? Well, when a wash of fatigue comes over me, it almost feels like I can't do anything. Can't do anything. It feels like everything is impossible. No motivation. I don't feel like doing anything. I don't even feel like getting the normal meals that I would like to eat. I can't even feel like I can prepare foods properly. Prepare foods, I can't do anything like that. I don't feel like washing myself. I don't feel like getting out of bed. Moving feels hard. I don't do any exercise. No exercise. Because I just feel like I just don't have the capacity to do it. I might get quite frustrated. Angry at myself. I'm not angry at others, I'm mostly angry at myself because I feel like I want to do the things that I don't feel like I can do. The things that I usually do, and I don't feel capable anymore because it's almost that you have to rely on others. And when you are someone that wants to look after themselves and do things for yourself, it can be very frustrating to not be able to do that anymore. And you get very frustrated and angry. And you might lash out at others, but not because you're angry at them, but because deep down you're angry at yourself and it just sort of makes you feel sad. And I also describe it as a feeling of being flat. This is hard to describe, but it's almost like there are no emotions. No emotions. It's a flat feeling. And I remember saying this constantly when I'd go through extreme bouts of fatigue, is that I just felt flat and there was no ups or downs. It was just a consistent flatness. And that flatness was not enjoyable. It was actually very, very depressing to feel flat. So these are a lot of the ways that ulcerative colitis fatigue can feel for me. And if there's other ways that it feels for you, do leave a comment down below. But fatigue is real and it's horrible and it does feel completely horrible and you want to get out of it as fast as possible. Luckily, there are some things that we can do. So, it's likely when you're feeling this wash of fatigue, you are probably in a flare state or there's some sort of inflammation going on within your body. So the first thing that would be very useful for dealing with this fatigue is to identify what fatigues you. So this might be something as simple as brushing your teeth or making the bed in the morning. It might feel like an insurmountable task, or preparing your meals first thing in the morning. This is something we can easily follow up with preparation. So the idea of preparation is to make everything as easy as possible for your future self. So what you can do is use an allotment of the little energy that you have to make the future you use less energy. So for instance, that might be creating breakfast for tomorrow in advance. Or any meal in particular. You create your meals in advance, or you ask for some help with creating those meals in advance. Put them in the fridge. Come tomorrow, you don't have to do any preparation for food whatsoever. You just reach into the fridge and you pull out that breakfast that you made yesterday. That's going to start you off to the day feeling like you have some energy and that you can do something because you haven't had to have spent that mental energy going over a hurdle of making breakfast first thing in the morning. I just need to let the cat out. Right, the cat has been let out. So preparing is a great way of helping the future you. And definitely try and get others to help you if you have others around the house, because that way you're actually going to spend even less energy doing that. Another thing that you can do is look at your environment. So for instance, if you spend a lot of time at the desk, let's say you do computer work, and for instance, there's a hard drive that you need to constantly be plugging in, swapping these hard drives, USB cable, and you have to bend over to plug them into the computer. Just order yourself a USB extension and have that on top of the desk so you don't have to bend over and do that. Try and arrange your desk in a way so that everything that you need is on top of the desk, and that way you're not having to spend extra energy to go over these small hurdles consistently throughout the day, and you can plug it in immediately. That way you're adapting your environment to become an easier place for you to not spend all your energy. Another thing to do is to do things that give you energy. So that would be very personal to you. Give energy. And what that could be is taking a break to play perhaps a video game that makes you feel happy or helps you escape for a short time. That could be lying down for 10 minutes or half an hour, just recharging yourself, being away from others, almost a little bit of quiet time for yourself. So that might be lie down for a bit. Lie down for a bit. Video games. That might be a TV show, whatever it is. Something that's going to distract you for a bit, give you some energy. It might even be go for a walk if you've got that energy, sit out in the garden, get some sun. Whatever it is that you feel gives you energy, do that to help you get through the day. And speaking of getting through the day, there's regular breaks. Regular breaks. And an extension of that is don't spend all your energy. Don't spend all energy. And let's talk about that a little bit further. So for instance, let's say that today your given task is to do a little bit of weeding in the garden. Just to pull a random task out of the blue. You've got to do a little bit of weeding. Don't spend all of your energy in getting frustrated and put all of yourself into that weeding. Because once that's over, you're not going to have any energy left for the rest of the day. You're going to feel too tired to do the things that you should be doing, like put the right amount of energy into preparing your dinner. And then you might make a bad decision and get some food that just isn't worth eating later that night. So what you can do by extension, take some regular breaks. So if you, let's say the weeding's going to take 2 hours. Let's just say 2 hours of weeding you've got given to you today. I would break it up into 4 half-an-hour chunks of weeding and then have breaks in between. And that way, and you can use these elements that give you energy. So you might do half an hour of weeding, then you might spend half an hour resting. And the thing is, this will help, and it definitely help break it up and make it not feel so daunting. Another thing to do that I find very helpful is to give yourself a list of tasks. So list out tasks. And with these tasks, you want to set up a priority system. We're going to write prio. And that means priority system. So, for instance, let's say you had weeding on the list, but it's not that important. And you've got other things on the list, like sending out some important emails that will actually generate you some income. Perhaps that's part of your job. I don't know. Whatever it is, you've got tasks given at home. Rank them. So number 1 would be emails. And number 2 would be weeding. Or you can use a different system like hot. You could colour it, just strike through in red. That means it's a hot task. That means it needs doing probably today. A green task could be, to be honest, I could do this whenever. If weeding is a green task, why are we doing that today? Don't bother wasting energy on that green task and attend to the red tasks first. That way, you're going to be using the energy, the little energy that you do have, on the things that are going to be useful today. And that's another thing that you can also do, is try and delegate stuff. If possible, if there's other people who can help you, you can delegate tasks. So for instance, let's say that weeding is green, could be done next week, but you've got a friend round today, he's asked to help you out, or you live with a significant other that can help you out. Maybe delegate that green task to them while you do the red task. Or you could delegate other tasks, such as preparing your meals in advance while you tend to this red task. And I would hope that you've communicated with them that you are in this state where you do need a bit of help and you're experiencing quite a large amount of fatigue. If you haven't done that, that would probably be one of the first and foremost things that you should do. Communicate. Communicate with those around you. Tell them what's going on. You don't need to give them the whole sob story, but you can tell them that you're experiencing a large amount of fatigue and you'd really appreciate just a little bit of help with some of the tasks that you've got going on today. So that leads us on to the crucial things that you should be doing to help maintain your body during this tough time. And that is the typical things that I say in a lot of my videos, and that is diet, exercise, and sleep. And the thing is, these things are all equally important as each other. You really need to work on all three at the same time. But if I had to rank them, I would rank sleep as number one, the most important thing you should be prioritizing. Diet as number two, and exercise as number three. Ideally, you would work on all three, but if that seems like a daunting task, then choose to work on sleep first. This is going to give you the biggest bang for the buck, the biggest return on investment on your energy levels. Because not only does sleep help you feel less fatigued, but it also helps that healing process. And like I said earlier on in the video, if you're experiencing a large amount of fatigue, you're likely inflamed. And sleep is going to be the number one thing to help heal you through this very worrisome time. So how can we do that? How can we allocate our efforts to sleep? Well, I do have videos on that, but to give you the general rundown of how we can do this is very quickly, allocate yourself enough time to get enough sleep. Oftentimes we don't even spend enough time in bed to even have a hope of 8 hours sleep. So try go to bed a bit earlier. Make that environment a bit colder, a bit less noisy. Use blackout blinds. Cover your eyes. Earplugs, white noise generator, a fan, listen to a podcast, whatever it is that helps you fall asleep, do it. Have some winding down time before bed so you don't go to bed thinking. And that will definitely help with the sleep. That's just to give you a quick overview. Diet. This is a very personal thing, different to everyone, but try and eat foods with less ingredients. That's an easy thing that you can do. Let's just make it less complicated. Make things more simple. You don't have to think too much about diet. You know the foods that work for you. I know the foods that work for me. Just reduce the amount of ingredients in them. Doesn't mean you can't make complicated meals with those ingredients, but the ingredients that you do use, try and keep it down to less ingredients. One, ideally. But if you do eat some highly processed foods, it's a learning experience. Just do it gradually. Slowly buy some foods that have less ingredients. And that will help with your diet. And eat a bit more protein. That'll definitely help. Number three, exercise. Simple as you can just start going for a walk. Don't need to be any more complicated than that. If you're not doing anything, if you're not even going for a walk, that's step one, is do a walk. Don't spend all of your energy, your valuable energy, on the exercise, because that's a quick way to dig yourself a fatigue pit. And that's very hard to climb out of without getting some decent sleep. So this one, it is a good one to help you with your future resilience and your future energy levels. The future you in a month will appreciate the work that you put in today exercise-wise, It's a long-term investment. But if you spend all of your energy today on exercise, you're going to feel like crap for a couple of days. And I know this because I've done it to myself. Many times have I dug myself a pit of dark fatigue just through exercising too much in one day. So, like I said, start with just a walk. That's all it needs to be. Simple walk. And if you're finding a walk is okay, do some stretching. Start doing a little bit of light weights or body weight exercises at home. You all know the exercises that you could do. Some push-ups. There's regressions of the push-ups. Do it on your knees. If it's too easy, do it with your feet. Try and do some squats, body weight squats. If squats are too hard, sit down in your chair and stand up again. And do that for reps. Very simple. Simple things you can do in your lounge. There's always ways to incorporate exercise into your life. But don't spend all your energy there. So in essence, that's how we battle fatigue. It's not going to disappear in one night. You have to consistently do these things in particular over time. And these things will help towards that. It's almost like a funnel. These things will help funnel into this. But what we're trying to do here with this is to spend less energy. So let's say your energy levels are a battery. You've got a battery here. This is 100% and this is 0%. When you're fighting with chronic fatigue from inflammation, you're probably starting the day down here. Let's say that this is 40%. So you haven't got much energy to work with. That's why we need to do these things here. This will help you use that 40% more efficiently. And when you do things such as lying down, regenerating your energy levels a bit, it might give you this much more energy. And that's a huge amount of extra energy. It might not seem like much. It might bring you up to 42%. That's an extra 2% to work with. Don't scoff at an extra 2%. And over time, as you do these things and you work specifically on these things, you might go up to 50%. Now you've got 10% more energy to work with. That's huge. That's amazing, an extra 10%. Then over time, you're going to get more energy. As you keep working on it, you might wake up the next day at 60%. Whoa, that's huge. Perhaps this took 1 month to achieve. That might seem like a long time, but in reality, 1 month, that's nothing. And over time, you're getting more and more energy. I'm not going to say anyone's starting the day at 100%. I think I'd need a whole factory reset to start 100%. Even I, in the state that I am in now, I start the day at, let's say, 70%. And I'm in remission at the minute. Touch wood. I'm not superstitious. 70%. 30% to work with that I need to gain. So imagine your life as a battery and you want to recharge that battery as much as possible. So those are the ways that I have used to help reduce my fatigue, and it does really help. Some days you wake up at 90%. Some days you go down, you wake up at 60%. It fluctuates, as anything in life does. Some days I still wake up at 40%. It really depends on the day, what I've done the day before. I'm not saying it's going to be a linear progression up to 100 if you do these things. No. Life is like a roller coaster. You never know what's going to happen. There's ups and downs. Well, on a roller coaster, you do know what's going to happen because you can see in front of you. But that's besides the point. It's more like a box of chocolates. Some of them are okay, and some of them taste like shit. But eventually, you get through it and you feel good. So, that's what I've been doing. I hope that you can channel these things into your life and feel fantastic. And I hope that you get some energy back, because I know how much this absolutely sucks. IBD fatigue, it is real. And when it strikes you down, you feel awful. That's why I like making these videos, and I like making a complete prat of myself for your viewing pleasure. So if you've got anything you'd like me to talk about, please leave a comment down below, because I just like standing here and talking about things in front of this lovely whiteboard. I'm very proud of my whiteboard. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.